Well, welcome to our online yoga class during this time of social distancing. Welcome to Four Directions Yoga Studio in Woodville. This is my yoga companion, Yogi Betty. She'll be with us for the class. You may hear her snoring. Sometimes she gets up and changes her position. Our practice is based on this. Tonight's practice is going to be an overall practice for the whole body. Balanced practice, and we look at and explore four principles, namely mindfulness, which is paying attention to things as they are without judgment, grounding or releasing tension, which is relaxing, centrality of the breath is the third principle, feeling and releasing into the postures with the breath, and the fourth one interconnects with the breath is moving from the spine or the vertebral column. So these four principles interconnect with each other, and when we're relaxed, we can be more grounded, our breathing is deeper, we move more organically, and we can also be very mindful of our own experiences. Try to create a sense of safe place when I practice, where I accept things that are going on in my body, mind, without judgment. Yoga is such a resource for us, particularly under times of stress. So we'll start with resting back on the ground, and if you prefer to lie on a couch or your bed, that's fine. And we're going to lie back so that we can let the body release into the ground. And I find it helpful to have a folded blanket under my head so that my neck and shoulders can relax. And depending on your body, you may need to experiment with different thicknesses here. And take a few deep breaths, inhaling into the belly, ribs, and chest, which is the full yogic breath, exhaling and letting the belly sink back. Inhaling into the belly, ribs, chest, and exhaling and letting the belly sink back. It's also helpful to have your feet on the floor with knees bent. At times, because it allows the spine to lengthen, and this is particularly important if you have a sore lower back. And so just take a few more deep yoga breaths, and notice the quality of the breath, if there's any tension or stress or holding in the breath, and try to let it go. So we breathe and we let the belly come forward as you inhale. The ribs and the chest expand, and as you exhale, let the belly sink back. And then when you're ready, you can start to let the knees drop from side to side. We call this knee drops. And as you let the knees drop from side to side, try to let them move one at a time. So if your knees are on the right, then take the left knee back to the left, and the right leg will follow. Inhale deeply, exhale, and let the legs move to the other side. And notice what's going on in your body. Are you tight? Are you holding your legs together and moving them both at the same time? Try to let them move one at a time. It releases the back of the pelvis and the inner legs more. Then you can draw your knees to your chest and let them drop from side to side with knees into the chest. Your arms can be at shoulder height. Inhaling and exhale and drop. And then weight on the side. Let the legs release. Let them slide one over the other slightly if that's what happens. And then exhaling and go to the other side. Feel the back of the pelvis releasing onto the floor as you take your legs to one side, part by part, bit by bit, and then feel it releasing off the floor. And then come back to the center and bring the feet back to the floor. We'll draw the right knee into the chest and circle the right knee around, the right hip and knee around, and go in both directions. And just ensure that you're not suspending or holding on to the breath. And then we'll take the right foot to the floor and draw the left knee to the chest and circle the left leg around. and go in both directions. Coming back, we're going to take the right knee back to the chest, and I have a yoga belt here. If you have a yoga belt, that's great. If you don't, you can use a sock, a long sock, or a bathrobe belt or a necktie. I'm going to stretch the leg up. As you inhale, you can bend the knee a little bit, and exhale, you can lengthen the leg. For sore lower backs, keep the left foot on the floor with the knee bent. If your lower back is okay, you can extend your left leg into the room. And then on an exhalation, see about taking your right leg to the right. Inhale, exhale, lengthen into the right. And then bring the leg back to the center, and we'll take the right leg across the front of the body over to the left. Inhale deeply here and exhale. Let your right shoulder drop back, breathing. These can be very strong stretches. So sometimes when we feel a strong stretch, we may have a tendency to inhale and suspend the breath. That can be a habit pattern. Try exhaling and releasing. And if you find that one of these positions is a place where your body needs to stay a little longer, then allow your body that opportunity to pause, to wait, and to let it release in that position with the breath, with mindfulness. And exhaling back to the center, and then we're going to release the right leg down to the floor. And feel the right side of the body and the left side before you draw your left knee to the chest. You get to see what the effect of the stretch is on the right side. And then we're going to bring both feet back to the floor, draw your left knee to the chest. We'll take the belt on the left foot. And we'll inhale deeply, exhale, and lengthen into the left leg. You can keep your right foot on the floor if your lower back is sensitive, or you can stretch your right leg out if your lower back is okay. You can bend the left knee a bit as you inhale, and as you exhale, stretch the leg. It's very helpful to stretch your hamstrings and exhale and take the left leg to the left. Take 2 or 3 breaths here. Feel the stretching through the left leg. And a sense that your breath can help you release the leg to the side. And then we'll bring the left leg back and over to the right. Inhale deeply, exhale, and lengthen that leg to the right. And it can be very strong in the left hip. Back to the center and lengthen. And then back to the left. And you can go back and forth as much as you would like. As we're going through this practice today, if I move on to something and you're not prepared for that, then stay where you're comfortable, stay where your body needs to stay, and you can catch up later in the video. Never in our yoga classes do people feel that they have to keep up with us. They're always encouraged to go at truly our own pace. Come back to the center, and when you're ready, we'll take the belt off the left leg and feel the left leg and the right leg. Then we're going to bend the knees, and we're going to take the left leg across the right, and we'll see about leg drops here. This can be a little bit strong for lower back, so ensure that it feels right for your body. And then we'll take the right leg on top and then drop again from side to side. The combined weight of the legs can feel different, and it can be a strong release for the hip. I've had some people tell me that their hips and lower backs feel really tired and sore at this time. People tend to do a lot of sitting. If we're on the computer a lot because we're working from home on a computer, a lot of sitting in chairs and not a lot of walking can lead to lower back and hip pain. And back to the center, bring the feet back to the floor again. And then we'll draw the knees to the chest and circle the knees again. Feel the back of the pelvis releasing onto the ground. Part by part, bit by bit, use the weight of your own legs to release. Keep your ankles relaxed. A lot of students will have a habit pattern of flexing our ankles like this. Creates a lot of tension up in the hip at the front of the pelvis. So keep the ankles relaxed. And we're going to try a posture called Yoga Nidra. Some people call this happy baby. So you bring your arms on the inside of the legs, wrap them around the back of your calves. Wherever you come to with this is fine. We're going to inhale and exhale, and the soles of the feet can come toward each other. They might also face the ceiling. Take a few deep inhalation breaths and exhalation breaths. And then we can drop the left leg and let the left leg come to the ground. Inhale deeply and exhale, breathe into the right hip. And then we'll come back and take the left foot back to Yoga Nidra posture. Inhale deeply, exhale, we'll drop the right leg. And breathe into the left hip. Inhaling deeply and exhaling. And then we'll bring the right leg back. And then release. And we'll bring both feet to the floor about hip width apart. So now if you have released the blanket away from your head, we're going to come up into bridge pose, which is a good counterbalance for all those forward bending postures. So we're going to inhale deeply and exhale and drop down through the feet and let the pelvis, the lower back, the middle back come up off the floor. And your arms can be overhead to the floor behind you, which I find very releasing for my shoulders. This arm position, and then you bring your spine back. So take your time and pay attention mindfully. How does your back come up off the floor? Can you bring the pelvis off first, then the lower back, then the middle back, and then come up onto the shoulders? Then you can inhale and exhale and release and come back down in the opposite direction, the opposite way, part by part, bit by bit. And try bridge pose a couple more times. Exhaling, dropping down through the feet, releasing the spine, releasing the shoulders. You can try another arm position. You can have your arms at your sides as well, or at shoulder height. And then after the last one, we'll release and draw the knees back to the chest and take the legs from side to side a bit. And then we're going to turn to the side and come up for cat pose. So cat pose, we come onto the hands and knees. Let's just move one step over. Come onto the hands and knees. And we're going to inhale and then exhale and round the spine up and let the head drop. And then inhale, release down. And then exhale and round up. And what I did there is I walked my hands back towards my knees, because that allows me to feel a stronger sense of release in my upper back and shoulders. Other people may find their hands have to be forward in order to feel that sense of release in the shoulders and upper back. So really you have to go with what you find is helpful for your body. So rounding up as you exhale and drop the head, let the back of the neck release. And inhale, release down, and exhale and round up. And then we can take the hands to the left, sit the hips back towards the heels. If that's hard on your knees, just take your hips back a little bit. Do not harm your knees, stretch through the right arm, let the head drop. And then we'll round up again and dip down, and then we'll walk our hands across the mat over to the right. Sit the hips back again, inhale, exhale, let the head drop, stretch through the left arm. Breathe into the left side ribs to allow the body to release from within. The breath can help the body release. We'll come back to the center, and then we're going to take the toes under, and inhale, exhale, come back into downward facing dog pose.
Your heels in downward dog do not have to be on the ground. I think it's really important to see that our feet are articulated, that the arches are there, and that you have a sense of breath in the back of the spine and in the pelvis. And we're going to come down. We're going to come back to child's pose. Child's pose, the knees are generally together and the feet are together. But if that feels impossible for your body, you can see about separating the knees a bit and then resting down. And if your head doesn't come to the floor, you can take your yoga blanket, or a pillow, and rest your head on the pillow, on the blanket. It's really important for the neck and head to let the head ground and release. So take your time in child's pose. Arms can be forward. Some people bring their arms back beside their feet, palms facing up. Feel your body. Breathe into the back of the body. Allow the breath to release the body from the inside. And we're going to come forward again. We're going to come round the back, up in cat pose again. And keep coming forward so the pelvis comes down into cobra posture. And then inhale and exhale, and we'll go back to child's pose. And then just try that movement from child's pose into cat, into cobra again. And if cobra feels uncomfortable at any time in your lower back, stop before you get into the full posture. Inhale deeply and exhale and go back again. And let your head drop and release your neck. And then we're going to come back again. And we're going to come into lunge pose. So we'll take the hands over to the left a bit. If you need to bring the right foot forward, we'll inhale and exhale. We'll come up in lunge, and you can see about bringing your arms up. If that's helpful, you may have to have your arms resting on your knee. You have to be aware in lunge pose that there's a tendency for us to pull back and not fully extend the back hip. So try to drop the pelvis forward. It's strong on the front of the left leg. And then we'll come down. And I did reverse lunge before as I was talking, so you can try this posture. And then we'll come back. And then we're going to take the hands a little bit to the right if you need to, and let the left foot swing forward, and then come back. The hands, if this is hard on the right knee, you can take your blanket under the back knee. Inhale deeply and exhale here, and then if you find it's helpful, you can bring yourself up and let the right hip open. Deeply inhale and exhale, and if you find it helpful to bring your arms up, you can in lunge pose. And then we'll bring the hands down and step the left foot. Oh, before we step the left foot back, we'll do reverse lunge. And then come out of the posture. And then see about downward facing dog again. We'll inhale, exhale into down dog. There's another variation of lunge pose that I'll show you. It's a bit of a stronger pose for some students. Some people feel that it's actually easier on their knee. Again, if you need a folded blanket for your knee, take that. This one, you bring the back foot onto a surface. I have it on the meditation cushion, and then you can see about dropping forward. A lot of students actually find this, strangely enough, easier than lunge pose with the foot on the floor. And then inhale deeply and exhale and drop forward. Another variation is to bring your back foot up the wall. And students who come to Four Directions Yoga Studio often practice that variation and find it helpful for their hip. The muscles at the front of the thigh that we're releasing on the back leg in this variation of lunge pose, or in all lunge poses, particularly this variation, these are the muscles that pull on our lower back and create a lot of back pain when they're tight. And then coming down and coming back. Okay, so take your time again. Try cat pose again. Exhale and round up. And then release forward. And inhale and exhale and round up. And then we're going to come back into bead malasana pose, B-E-A-D. In Sanskrit, this is called malasana. It's squatting. So the way I did that, I was in cat pose. I walked my hands back, toes under, and move back into squatting posture. And let the head drop. Inhale, exhale, let the neck release. The shoulders release. Take a few breaths. And then we're going to come into standing forward bend. So stretch and drop forward in standing forward bend. Let the head drop and the neck release. If your hands don't come to the ground, you can bring them up onto your, pop your elbows up to the knees. If you have low back concerns here, you can bend your knees a little bit and then release forward. With your elbows on your knees, so see what you need to do to ensure that your body is safe. Inhale deeply, exhale, and let the head drop, the neck release, and allow the legs to stretch. And then we're going to bend the knees, and we'll inhale, exhale, roll up to standing, and stretch up and back, and stretch the sides. So we're going to come and do some sun salutation posture, flow sequence. We've done all the postures in sun salutation, so we can combine them now into a sequence. We'll inhale, exhale, lengthen up and back. Inhale, exhale, drop forward in standing forward bend. Take a breath or two. Inhale, exhale, we'll step the right foot back into lunge pose and then come up and lunge. Inhale. Exhale, bring the hands down and take your left foot back into downward facing dog pose and lengthen back. Bring your knees to the floor. Take your hips back towards child's pose. Inhale deeply, exhale, round the spine up into cat to come into cobra. Inhale deeply, exhale back into downward facing dog pose. And then we'll bring the left foot to the floor and step the right foot forward and come up into lunge pose. Inhale, exhale down, and we'll step the left foot forward into standing forward bend and drop forward. Bend the knees, exhale, and roll up to standing and stretch up and back. Inhale, exhale down. And now we'll take the left foot back into lunge pose. Bring the arms up if it's okay into lunge. Inhale. Exhale down and take your right foot back into downward facing dog. Bring your knees to the floor and we'll come into child's pose. Inhale, exhale, round the spine up in cat and come into cobra. Inhale, exhale, back into downward facing dog. And then bring your right knee to the floor and step your left foot forward into lunge pose and come up into lunge. Inhale, exhale, down, and we'll bring the right foot forward into standing forward bend again and drop forward. Inhale, exhale, bend the knees and roll up to standing and stretch up and back. And then hands in prayer mudra. And then release your arms at your sides and feel your breath. We're going to see about some standing postures now. I'll just walk back on my mat. I put this cross mat here so I can show things from the side as well. Maybe I'll do that for these standing postures. So standing in mountain pose,
You allow yourself to feel the breath as you inhale and exhale. Bring your attention to the right leg and the right foot and feel it on the ground. Bring your attention to your left leg and your left foot and feel your left leg on the foot on the ground and leg releasing into the ground. And then feel both legs and both feet on the ground. Allow yourself to stop physically, to feel the breath and to feel the body. And eventually our racing mind, if your mind is racing today, maybe yours is not, but if it is, being in the body and practicing this way can help us slow the mind down. It may help. So we're going to start with Warrior One posture. We'll step the right foot forward for Virabhadrasana 1. I didn't turn my left foot out that much at all. That's a safety issue for the lower back and the back of the pelvis. And you can bend your right knee. Depending on your body and your comfort level, you may want to practice a very short Warrior One stance here, which is perfectly fine. In fact, it's an option that people might practice to emphasize grounding and releasing from the ground. So see about your stance. For Warrior One and your arm position, you can have your arms cupped down here. Love this feeling with this hand posture in Warrior One because I feel very balanced and very sturdy. And then you can also bring your arms up. The main thing is to feel what works for your body in these poses. And right now, this arm position feels best for my body. Inhale deeply and exhale, and then we'll take the right arm forward, the left arm back for Warrior Two. You can look over your right hand. And then coming back to Warrior One posture. Inhale and exhale, and we'll step back into mountain pose. And then feel your body again. Feel how your body connects to the ground. Standing postures in yoga practice, to me, one of the benefits are it shows us and teaches us how we relate to the earth. How do we relate and support ourselves on the ground? Then we'll take the left foot forward for Warrior One pose. And again, you can practice the short stance. You can experiment between the short stance and this little bit longer stance and just see what the difference is for your body. And as mentioned, the 4 principles, mindfulness, being in the body, this is how we practice it in a very practical way through the postures. We try an arm position like this one and see how it feels. We try the arm position out here and see how it feels. We can try an arm position up and see how that feels and find the one that works for you in terms of grounding, releasing, and safety for your body. And then Warrior Two, you turn the upper body, take the left arm forward, the right arm back. Ensure that your knee still goes to the small toe side of the foot. It doesn't turn in. It stays balanced, turning towards the smaller toe side of the foot. And then back to Warrior One posture. And then we'll step back to mountain pose. And we'll feel the feet on the ground again. Inhale, exhale. So if your feet feel more open and released on the ground after practicing standing poses, I think that's fabulous. Because our connection to the earth is more integrated. We're going to try some of the standing forward bends now, and for some people these are really a little bit more challenging than the 2 warrior poses we just did, and you may need a yoga block or a chair. If you use a chair, it should be braced against the wall so it doesn't slide on you. So we'll start with mountain pose. And then we're going to step the right foot forward. And we'll practice Warrior One again so that the legs are not tensing, but they're working.
and they feel like there's an energy in them, but they're also a strength in them. Okay? They're not just solid, but there's a strength, there's a dynamic energy in the legs that allows our spines to be light. Okay? So see about that arm position again. And then we're going to straighten the front leg and drop forward. If you can't straighten your front leg all the way and you keep it bent for a bit, that's fine. You may need to step the left foot forward slightly, and if you need the block, then use the block at any height. Right? And then drop it forward. We'll inhale here and exhale and release the spine forward. And you can see about what happens if you bring your hands off the floor and take them back to the floor. And bring the hands off the floor and bring them back behind the back if that's possible, and stretch into the hands, into the wrists. And then releasing. And then we'll try triangle pose. So you inhale deeply, exhale, and take the upper back and turn to the left. And then bring the hand down again. And then we'll step forward this time in forward bend. We'll bend the knees and exhale and roll up to standing and stretch up and back. And then bring the arms down and feel the spine and feel the feet on the ground. Yogi Betty just knocked over the meditation bowl, so I'll just move it. So then we're going to come back to where we started and come back into mountain pose. And then we'll take the left foot forward. So we'll step the left foot forward for warrior one. Inhale and exhale, the hands in a comfortable position. Out to the sides or cupped or up. Take your time. And then we're going to see about straightening the left leg and dropping forward. And if that's not possible, you can keep your knee bent a little bit if you need to. You can use a yoga block or a cushion. But do let your head drop, and you may need to adjust your back foot the way I did. I stepped it forward a bit. Inhale, exhale, and release. And then see what happens if you bring your hands off the floor. Our legs work differently. Bring your hands back to the floor. Bring your hands off the floor. Bring them back to the floor. And then see about interlacing your hands behind the back and stretching into the wrists. Dropping forward, inhale deeply and exhale. And then release the hands. Step the right foot forward. Dropping forward again. Then bend the knees and exhale and roll up and stretch up and back. And then release the arms. And then feel the feet on the ground again in mountain pose. Be aware of the right foot and the left foot. Take your time. I'll turn this way this time. And feel the ground. Okay, and breathe into the feet. Feel where the feet are on the ground. You can lift your toes and stretch them, but then let them relax. Feel that you have arches, that the inner arch and the outer arch are clear and articulated. That you stand at the front of the heel and the toe ball joints, and the toes are softly on the ground, not squeezing the ground. And let the legs relax. Allow the breath to release the body, and the breath to release the spine. We're going to try a standing balance posture. I thought we would try tree this evening. If people with sensitive knees may not want to put the weight on the sore knee side of the body, in that case you don't. You just stand in mountain pose and bring your attention into each leg one at a time. In that sense, you are practicing the right and the left. If balancing is difficult, you can use the wall with your hand. So I have my right side towards the wall. I shift my attention to the right side and the right leg. I feel the right leg descending to the ground. And when you're ready, you can bring the left foot to the inside of the right shin If your hips are a little flexible, you can bring your foot up a little higher above the knee, then that's fine. And then you might bring your hands off the wall, and as you inhale and exhale, see about balancing. Okay, so some days balance is easier than others. Balance postures help us focus our mind and focus our attention. Arm positions are sometimes for tree pose. People bring their palms together or their hands out to the side. Be kind to yourself. If you feel you need to use the wall, then do. And if this leg position doesn't make sense for your body, bringing your foot to the inside of your thigh or the inside of your shin, then don't do that one. Try bringing your foot forward. Bring your foot out to the side. You know, as you look around at trees, they all look different. No trees are the same. Same with our tree poses. No tree poses are the same. So take your time from side to side, practicing balance. It's practice, it's not a competition. And feel your breath. Take a deep inhalation breath, a deep exhalation breath. This is where mindfulness comes in. How do we react to our body selves and ourselves when we can or cannot balance? I see yoga students be very judgmental toward themselves when they're struggling with balance poses. So inhale deeply, exhale. Some days I have trouble with balance. It focuses the mind. And back to mountain pose. Then we're going to stand with our feet wide apart, about one leg length apart, and then dropping forward here. Allow the knees to lengthen, if you can. And again, you might want to use a block, folded blanket, a cushion for this posture, and then dropping forward. Wide stride, standing forward bend. And then we'll come up by walking the feet towards the center. And then we'll inhale and exhale and roll up. I want to do a little bit of walking meditation. We've done so much standing in these mountain poses and in warrior one and warrior two and triangle pose. So let's try a bit of walking meditation. And you're going to step, so I start with the right foot. I bring my right heel down, the toe ball joints the toes, and the left foot comes up. Part by part, bit by bit, and the left foot comes down. Left foot, heel, toes, and then the right heel and the toes come up. And then the heel and the toes come down. And just try walking, and you can walk around your room. If you find this is really helpful for you to do on its own when the video is over, you might just try walking meditation in your own time. Thich Nhat Hanh, a Vietnamese Buddhist monk who I really find very helpful in his teaching, says that when people are upset and cannot meditate because they're so agitated they can't sit for meditation, then to practice walking meditation. So this is a very short walking meditation, but it certainly is worthwhile to bring into our daily practice. You feel your feet releasing into the ground as you're walking. Heel, toe ball joints, and toes. Heel, toe ball joints, and toes. Often during the day when we walk places, we might be in a hurry. We might feel that we're stressed. And the way we walk when we're stressed or in a hurry affects not just our feet, but our entire body, our spine, our hips, our lower back, even the neck and shoulders. And we're really opening the feet to the floor, releasing, walking by releasing the heel to the ground, the toe ball joints, and the toes as you move from foot to foot. Our life can become so simple when we focus just on this moment in walking meditation. And then we'll come back to standing in mountain pose. Relax through the legs, relax your breath, let your arms relax. Take a deep breath. And then we're going to come back to sitting. So I'll get my yoga cushion, meditation cushion. I'm going to come down to sitting. And we'll try some sitting postures. One of my friends mentioned to me the other day that with stress she has, and all the sitting she's doing now with working from home, she has restless leg syndrome, which is really uncomfortable. So some sitting postures for the hips and the legs and those leg stretches, everything we've done today actually is helpful for that. But we'll start with widest stride sitting pose, and if you feel really stiff, you might start with your knees bent and feet on the floor and then dropping forward. What's important here is not how far forward we go. What really matters is that we're paying attention to the breath and that we feel a lift as we inhale and a drop as we exhale. And then, if that's okay, you can see about straightening your legs and then dropping forward dropping forward here. If your head, if you want to support your head, it doesn't come to the floor, you can support it with a block. Or you can just let your head drop. And you might feel as you inhale a lift in the body, and as you exhale a sense of release. And then we'll inhale, exhale, come up, and bring our legs back to the center. And keep the right leg lengthened forward. And we're going to bring the left leg across this way. So what I did is I took my left foot and drew it near my right hip with the sole of the foot facing back. If that's not possible and you can go to here, that's fine. That might not be possible, then you can just cross your left ankle over the right leg. That's fine. And so see what you can do. Don't discount your own experience if it's not this. If you're practicing here and drop forward, then that's fine. And then we'll inhale, exhale, and then dropping forward. Try to keep this right foot vertical. There's a tendency for the body to try to avoid the hamstring stretch and turn the foot out to the side. Try to keep it vertical and drop forward. And then feel your breath again as you inhale and exhale. And then coming up, and then we'll take the left leg out, and you might cross the right ankle on top. You might bring the right foot beside the left knee on the outside. If you can, you bring the right foot back beside your left hip. Keep the left foot vertical, and then see about dropping forward here. Inhaling and exhaling and releasing forward. Breathing into the lower back, into the back of the pelvis. Letting your head drop. And then coming up again and bringing the legs forward. We can also try sitting forward bend, Paschimottanasana, and for this, again, if it feels that you feel very stiff, then bend your knees and drop forward and connect to your breath. If you can, stretch your legs out and drop forward, and if you're here, this is fine. Just depending on your body, and then see about releasing with the breath, which is the main part, not how far forward we go. You inhale and exhale. And then we'll come up again. And then we're going to come back into bridge pose. So you can bend your knees, bring your feet to the floor. Take a deep inhalation breath again and exhalation. We did this posture earlier in the class. So when you're ready, on an exhalation, coming up into bridge. Your arms can be overhead. They might be at your sides, at shoulder height, or down beside towards your feet. And then exhale and release down. Remember, coming in and out of these postures is as important a process as being in the pose itself. So that the whole yoga experience is a continuous practice. Instead of just holding the posture for a period of time, we're more interested in the process of moving in and out. And then we'll draw the knees back to the chest and circle the legs at the back of the pelvis in both directions. And then we'll let the knees drop from side to side. And then come back. So stay on the ground, and I'll come up to sitting, but you can stay lying back for Shavasana, relaxation posture. If you would like to, you can stretch your legs out. You can have a yoga blanket under the back of your head, and then feel your breath. Feel your inhalation breath, your exhalation breath. Your eyes can be open or closed. Go deep inside and feel all the sensations of the body, the sense of the connection to the ground, of releasing back to the ground, of having that sense of deep restfulness. When the mind is paying attention to the breath and the body, it's really drawn into the present moment. So that's our class. Thank you. Namaste. Namaste, Yogi Betty. Thank you for your inspiration. You're a good little Yogi